They're all slippin' over from the shoal o' Queero."
"You won't see many boats to morrow, Danny."
When Troop called his son Danny, it was a sign that the old man was pleased.
"Boys, we're too crowded,"
He went on, addressing the crew as they clambered inboard.
"We'll leave 'em to bait big and catch small."
He looked at the catch in the pen, and it was curious to see how little and level the fish ran. Save for Harvey's halibut, there was nothing over 15 pounds on deck.
"I'm waiting on the weather," he added.
"You'll have to make it yourself, Disko, for there's no sign I can see,"
said Long Jack, sweeping the clear horizon. And yet, half an hour later, as they were dressing down, the Bank fog dropped on them between fish and fish, as they say. It drove steadily and in wreaths, curling and smoking along the colourless water. The men stopped dressing down without a word. Long Jack and Uncle Salters slipped the windlass brakes into their sockets, and began to heave up the anchor, the windlass jarring as the wet hempen cable strained on the barrel. Manuel and Tom Platt gave a hand at the last. The anchor came up with a sob, and the riding sail bellied as Troop steadied her at the wheel.
"Up jib and foresail," said he.
"Slip 'em in the smother,"
shouted Long Jack, making fast the jib sheet, while the others raised the clacking, rattling rings of the foresail, and the foreboom creaked as the We're Here looked up into the wind and dived off into blank, whirling white.
"There's wind behind this fog,"
said Troop. It was all wonderful beyond words to Harvey, and the most wonderful part was that he heard no orders except an occasional grunt from Troop, ending with,
"That's good, my son."
"Never seen anchor weighed before?" said Tom Platt to Harvey, gaping at the damp canvas of the foresail. "No. Where are we goin'?" "Fish and make berth, as you'll find out 'fore you've been a week aboard. It's all new to you, but we never know what may come to us. Now take me, Tom Platt. I'd never ha' thought."
"It's better than $14 a month and a bullet in your belly," said Troop from the wheel. "Ease your jumbo a grind."
"Dollars and cents better," returned the man o' war's man, doing something to a big jib with a wooden spar tied to it. "But we didn't think o' that when we manned the windlass brakes on the Miss Jim Buck outside Beaufort Harbor, with Fort Macon heavin' hot shot at our stem, and a livin' gale atop of all. Where was you then, Disko?"
"Just here or hereabouts," Disko replied. "Earnin' my bread on the deep waters, and dodgin' Reb privateers. Sorry I can't accommodate you with red hot shot, Tom Platt, but I guess we'll come out all right on wind 'fore we see Eastern Point."
There was an incessant slapping and chatter at the bows now, varied by a solid thud and a little spout of spray that clattered down on the foc'sle. The rigging dripped clammy drops, and the men lounged along the lee of the house, all save Uncle Salters, who sat stiffly on the main hatch, nursing his stung hands.
"Guess she'd carry staysail,"
said Disko, rolling one eye at his brother.
"Guess she wouldn't to any sort o' profit. What's the sense of wastin' canvas?"
the farmer sailor replied. The wheel twitched almost imperceptibly in Disko's hands. A few seconds later a hissing wave top slashed diagonally across the boat, smote Uncle Salters between the shoulders, and drenched him from head to foot. He rose sputtering, and went forward, only to catch another. "See Dad chase him all around the deck," said Dan. "Uncle Salters he thinks his quarter share's our canvas. Dad's put this duckin' act up on him 2 trips runnin'. Hi, that found him where he feeds." Uncle Salters had taken refuge by the foremast, but a wave slapped him over the knees. Disko's face was as blank as the circle of the wheel.
"Guess she'd lie easier under staysail, Salters,"
said Disko, as though he had seen nothing.
"Set your old kite, then,"
roared the victim through a cloud of spray.
"Only don't lay it to me if anything happens. Penn, you go below right off and get your coffee. And you ought to have more sense than to bum around on deck this weather." "Now they'll swill coffee and play checkers till the cows come home," said Dan, as Uncle Salters hustled Penn into the fore cabin. Looks to me like's if we'd all be doin' so for a spell. There's nothin' in creation deader limpsy idler'n a banker when she ain't on fish."
"I'm glad ye spoke, Danny," cried Long Jack, who had been casting round in search of amusement. "I'd clean forgot we'd got a passenger under that T wharf hat. There's no idleness for thim that don't know their ropes. Pass him along, Tom Platt, and we'll larn him."
"'Tain't my trick this time," grinned Dan. "You've got to go it alone. Dan learned me with a rope's end." For an hour Long Jack walked his prey up and down, teaching, as he said, things at the sea that ivery man must know, blind, drunk, or asleep. There is not much gear to a 70-ton schooner with a stump foremast, but Long Jack had a gift of expression. When he wished to draw Harvey's attention to the peak halyards, he dug his knuckles into the back of the boy's neck and kept him at gaze for half a minute. He emphasized the difference between fore and aft generally by rubbing Harvey's nose along a few feet of the boom, and the lead of each rope was fixed in Harvey's mind by the end of the rope itself. The lesson would have been easier had the deck been at all free, but there appeared to be a place on it for everything and anything except a man. Forward lay the windlass and its tackle, with the chain and hemp cables, all very unpleasant to trip over, the foc'sle stovepipe, and the gurry butts by the foc'sle hatch to hold the fish livers. Aft of these the foreboom and booby of the main hatch took all the space that was not needed for the pumps and dressing pens. Then came the nests of dories lashed to ring bolts by the quarter-deck, the house, with tubs and oddments lashed all around it, and last, the 60-foot main boom, in its crutch, splitting things lengthwise, to duck and dodge under every time. Tom Platt, of course, could not keep his oar out of the business, but ranged alongside with enormous and unnecessary descriptions of sails and spars on the old Ohio.
"Niver mind what he says. Attend to me, innocents. Tom Platt, this ballyhoo's not the Ohio, and you're mixin' the boy bad."
"He'll be ruined for life, beginning on a fore and after this way," Tom Platt pleaded. "Give him a chance to know a few leadin' principles. Sailin's an art, Harvey, and I'll show you if I had you in the foretop o' the—"
"I know it. You'd talk him dead and cold. Silence, Tom Platt.
Now, after all I've said, how'd you reef the foresail, Harve? Take your time answerin'." "Haul that in," said Harvey, pointing to leeward.
"What? The North Atlantic?"
"No, the boom. Then run that rope you showed me back there."
"That's no way," Tom Platt burst in. "Quiet. He's larnin', and it's not the name's good yet. Go on, Harve."
"Oh, it's the reef pennant. I'd hook the tackle onto the reef pennant, and then let down—" "Lower the sail, child, lower," said Tom Platt in a professional agony. "Lower the throat and peak halyards," Harvey went on. Those names stuck in his head.
"Lay your hand on 'em,"
said Long Jack. Harvey obeyed. "Lower till that roop lope on the after leach no, it's cringle, till the cringle was down on the boom. Then I'd tie her up the way you said, and then I'd hoist up the peak and throat halyards again."
"You've forgot to pass the tack earing, but with time and help you'll learn. There's good and just reason for every rope aboard, or else 'twould be overboard. Do you follow me? 'Tis dollars and cents I'm puttin' into your pocket, you skinny little supercargo, so that when you're filled out you can ship from Boston to Cuba and tell 'em Long Jack larned you. Now I'll chase you around a piece, callin' the ropes, and you lay your hand on 'em as I call."
He began, and Harvey, who was feeling rather tired, walked slowly to the rope named. A rope's end licked round his ribs, and nearly knocked the breath out of him. "When you own a boat," said Tom Platt, with severe eyes, "you can walk. Till then, take all orders at the run. Once more, to make sure." Harvey was in a glow with the exercise, and this last cut warmed him thoroughly. Now he was a singularly smart boy, the son of a very clever man and a very sensitive woman, with a fine, resolute temper that systematic spoiling had nearly turned to mulish obstinacy. He looked at the other men, and saw that